When I learned how to negotiate, I made every mistake possible. I always asked the same few questions. If a little bit of extra discount was possible, if they could reduce the price, if they could do me a favor, please. Begging, basically. All that has changed. Today, I walk into any negotiation and feel secure. I know my counterparts and have a good feeling of what awaits me and how to react. And today I'm going to show you the techniques that helped me to break through that barrier and get better results. Hi, I'm Phil Kowalski of Procurement Zen, and today I'm going to show you my best techniques of 15 plus years of negotiation experience. Our first tip is research the other party online. Why is this important? Because we want to stay consistent with our statements. What does that mean? Well, this is hardwired in our brain. See what the other side says about themselves and find these triggers. Do an online search for your vendor, but don't just Google them. It should include their website and also their job markets, if they have them online. You may want to see where they are growing and what that tells you about this negotiation partner. And while you're at their website, do they make any public statements that you can use? For example, do they mention fast implementations? Use this if you think they have inflated their offers to include risk buffers, for example. Also have a look for their company name in the Google News search. Any occurrences there? These can really help to strengthen your position. Additionally, you can find out when their fiscal year ends. Are they a publicly traded company? If so, how did stock prices develop? Any ditches in stock price may motivate them to get a deal with you and make concessions while closing it. If they are an A supplier, you can also do the following. To track them, set up a Google alert for any Google search that you do. Let me show you how.
Well, just go to google.com/alerts and then enter a search query here. In our example, we're searching, for example, for the company IBM, and we're searching for the search term shareholder. And for the file type PDF, we only want PDF files. Well, not very much here. Also, you see a preview in this screen, but that's not what we want, so we try something different. Let's try it with financial report. Looks better. Annual report 2018, 2017, file type. So let's set up the options. Wanted once per week. We only want web results. We want the language English. And we want it only from the United States. So now only click on Create Alert and you're done. That's how you do Google Alerts, and you can do many of them. One other thing that I will link to in the description is actually advanced Google search hacks, and there is a pretty good article, as you can see here, on Lifehack, 20 Google search tips to use Google more efficiently, and that's where I also got the file type :PDF tip from. So you might want to read this as well.
Next tip, use a negotiation playbook. Why is this important? The negotiation playbook is an excellent tool to note your findings, but it's so much better than just a blank sheet of paper because it follows a battle-tested structure. It is much easier to use your insights if you don't have to use them out of your head. A negotiation playbook is the guiding document for your negotiation project. It lists basic details, who is involved on our side, who signs, who approves, contact details of our people, the vendor's people, and so much more. But a good negotiation playbook goes way beyond that. It also includes some in-depth questions about the relationship so far. Questions like, what is important to the other party? Who on their side should we talk to? What type of negotiation partner are they? And it also goes down on the personal level. The negotiation lead. What personality type is he or she? You could use established system like the DISC system here. Is the main negotiator on the other side a dominant type Or is she rather introvert? And then it looks at the negotiation itself. What are our goals? What may be the other side's goals? Can we assign different roles in our team, like negotiation lead, observer, and note taker? What signals did we send? Which ones did we receive? Any verbal offers? On my website Procurement Zen, I have not only covered this topic in depth, I also provide a ready-to-use negotiation playbook for you to download. Look for episodes 1 and 2 of the Procurement Zen podcast. To get it, join our free VIP club of master negotiators and get this plus other amazing goodies. You'll find a link in the description below. The next tip also covers research. It's the look into the past technique. Why is this important? Because it influences the other party to react in your favor. If you have any history with your negotiation counterpart, you may want to use this technique. The idea is as follows. You search for situations in the past in where your partner has reacted in the same way you expect them today. Sounds complicated? Here's an example. You are looking for a price reduction due to increased volume. Then you may want to prepare 1 or 2 slides that highlight the history you had. If you're doing a private negotiation, this could also be some kind of old sales documents, contracts and stuff. Emphasize the great cooperation at that time. Then say, we have always perceived you as helpful when it comes to price discussions and we need your help again. Or another example, imagine you want to get more for the same price. Look at how they have over-delivered in the past and tell them that you see them as a partner who outperforms their competition. Next, place your request for an increased scope. The reason this works so well is consistency. We as humans tend to be consistent with prior actions. You may have heard this when you hear salespeople say that they collect yeses. Unfortunately, it's not that easy, but the basic idea is the same. But there's another reason that it's so powerful. The official scientific name is positive test strategy. It means you look for hits rather than misses when you decide if a statement about you is correct. The next concept we're going to discuss is anchoring. Why is this important? Because it sets a reference point for your discussions. Before we dive deeper into why this works so well, let me illustrate it with a few good examples. Product pages on Amazon. Often you see a strike-through price. Besides that, it's the price that you have to pay. Plus a discount percentage. Wow, a 30% discount. That must be the best price. Well, quite often it's not, but you don't look any further. Or another situation. Imagine you're going shopping with your son. He sees a pair of jeans he says he absolutely must have. But then you check the price. Whoa, $150 for a pair of jeans? That's a little bit too much, honey. Appearance of the salesman. Do you know that you can get 3 for the price of 2? All of a sudden you start calculating. And it seems much cheaper, although $100 for a pair of jeans is still quite expensive amount. Everyone's happy and the anchoring effect has kicked in. The reason this works so well is because of the relation to your predefined goal. An anchor is the reference point that all later discussions relate to. And, very important, it's the first piece of information that is out there. We as humans tend to rely very much on the very first piece of information that we get. This is very important for us because we need some things to relate to. Here's another example. Imagine there's an item that you're willing to buy for $110, yet the list price is $132. You place an anchor saying that you would buy it for $72 because that's your budget. By the way, always make it an odd number because then it looks calculated and not fantasized. And also, always give reason to your anchor. But back to our last example. If you now, through bargaining, go up to your level of $110, you have very good arguments. I'm already 1/3 above my budget. I can't go any further. A good rule for anchoring and bargaining is the cut in half rule. Start with 65% of your goal, then 85%, then 95%, and then your final price goal. More often than not, the other side follows the same logic. They start at 135%, then 115, then 105 before they tell you their final price. The interesting thing is that we as humans find it difficult to overcome an anchor. If you want to dive deeper into this technique, go to Procurement Zen. Tanya and I have covered this in episode number 12. And I also have covered it in my lean overview of negotiation techniques, links in the description. The next technique on how to negotiate is using authority. Why is this important? Because it helps you to get more influence. It's not a personal thing, it's the situation. The most common approach to use authority in negotiations is to cite it. Let me give you a few examples for this tactic. You can use market price indices. Look, Mr. Merle, you claim that your help desk technicians cost $87 per hour. But looking at market prices from payscale.com, I see that the average salary is $17 per hour. Even if we would agree on a 100% markup, $87 is simply too high. The reason this works so well is our cultural education. We learn that conforming the dictates of authority figures brings many advantages and rewards. That's at least the way Robert Cialdini phrases it in his masterpiece, Influence. Head over to my list of best negotiation books if you want to learn more. But there is another aspect to authority, and that is higher authority. Using higher authority is not referring to religious topics. It is more like referring to a decision maker who is not at the table. 14 days payment terms? I'm sorry, but we usually have 90 days net. With all the other open topics that we have, I cannot even introduce this to my boss. He would never accept that. In this case, the boss, the person that is not at the negotiation table, is the higher authority we're using here. But this tactic comes with the risk. If you do this too often or use only this technique, as with all negotiation techniques that I introduced to you here, you lose credibility. The other party then could say, well, looks like you cannot make the necessary decisions here. Bring the right person to the table so we can discuss with them. The next one is quite powerful. Tactical empathy. Why is this important? Because it will increase the feeling of the other side that you understand, breaks down barriers. So what are the benefits? Well, you're taking an inventory of your counterpart's current situation. Why is this crucial? Let me answer this with a question. How will you be able to foresee their next moves if you don't even know where they currently are? Tactical empathy, by the way, is a term that was coined by this guy here, Chris Voss. Chris is a former FBI hostage negotiator who translated his skills into business. He introduced tactical empathy in his great book, Never Split the Difference. I give a deep insight into this book in my review of the best negotiation books, links in the description. So back to the topic. From what you've heard so far, you could think that it's the yes, yeah, I get it approach, right? Wrong. Because you not only hear what they say, you play it back to them. But you have to play it back in a specific way. Their way, so to say. If you play it back to your counterpart, use openers like, it seems like, or it looks like. Never use the word I in playing it back. As hard as it may sound, it's not about you, it's about them. You want to invoke a feeling of, yes, they understand me, in the other party. So you're describing it back to them without making it you by using the word I. Another thing you must avoid by any means is any kind of denial. Don't get me wrong, it's not that you should take over their position. You should describe it to establish rapport. Denial only gives any feedback your personal flavor. Don't do it, no disagreements, no denials. So take these two sentences. First sentence. I hear that you're not satisfied with the price we are willing to pay. Second sentence. It seems like you don't like the pricing on the table. What do you think? Which one of these two motivates your counterpart to open up? For me, it's definitely number 2. And then comes the most important part. The part that separates starters from masters. What is it? That actually was it. Silence. Hard but crucial for success. Stay silent. Let the other party talk. And no, this is not the who speaks first loses game. The silence motivates the other side to consider your understanding and talk more. That is the moment where they usually open up. If you prepare a negotiation, which I would recommend, you must also brief your colleagues to stay silent. Silence is essential. I told you before that this is not the who speaks first loses game. But I can guarantee you, if your side speaks first, you lose an opportunity to get more information. Another physical approach that may influence your success rate is your tone of voice. It should be calm, deep, slow. Chris calls this the late night FM DJ voice. That's a pretty good term for it. And this brings us to the final technique on how to negotiate: mirroring. Why is this important? Because it motivates people to tell you even more, to share more information, to give you more insights. That's always a good thing for any negotiations. In a moment, I will share with you how I use this technique to uncover bluffs. But first, let me generally explain how it works. First, the theory, and it's quite simple. You repeat the last 3 to 5 words of the last sentence. And you do this in a deep, slow, understanding voice. At the end, you raise your voice a little bit as if you were asking a question. Asking a question? Yes, it should be playful and nice. This helps people to talk more and reveals some interesting insights. Interesting insights? Exactly, the things that we could use in our negotiations that help us to understand them better. Common ground, so to say. Common ground? Yeah, the baseline on which good deals happen. Deals that have a long life. Deals that... Wait, are you mirroring me? Mirroring you? It's as easy as that. But as before, with tactical empathy, silence is key. Repeat the last 3 to 5 words with the question tone of voice and stay silent. Have you heard that before? Well, it also comes from Chris' book, Never Split the Difference. And for more details, you find link to the detailed blog post in the description. I promise you, mirroring is a skill that will have a heavy impact on your results. And you can use it everywhere. Actually, you should. This is a high-stakes skill that needs low-stakes practice. Practice it on the phone the next time someone wants to steal your time. Do you have a few minutes for me, Phil? A few minutes? Practice it with your kids, or in discussions with your colleagues, or in small talk situations. You will be surprised how much information others will give away without you giving any information. Big advantage in any negotiation. But I also promise you that you can use this Jedi mind trick to uncover bluffs. It works exactly the same, but you have to pay close attention to the reaction. Imagine the following conversation. I am afraid this is the cheapest that we can sell, otherwise we would be losing money. Losing money? Silence. Now listen closely to the responses. Response number 1. Yeah, well, we also must earn money, right? We all have our duties that we need to fulfill. Response number 2. Yes, we need to earn a certain margin, no way around that. Response number 1 is much weaker, close to apologizing. If you suspect a bluff and mirror, a weak response is the confirmation that they are bluffing. Response number 2 is much stronger and a good indicator that they are telling you the truth. So it goes like statement, the suspected bluff, mirror, weak response. This is most likely in 99 out of 100 cases a bluff. And yes, I know it will feel awkward in the beginning, but I can promise you, no one will come and say, you're using a mirror on me, because these effects are hardwired in our brains. Even people who know these techniques can hardly ever escape them. Instead, you get extra info for free. And this concludes my best techniques on how to negotiate. If you learned something new, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click the bell so you do not miss out on any new video. And if you want to learn more about negotiation, then visit procurementzen.com. That's where I share insights in procurement and best practices on how to improve negotiation results. Now it's up to you. Which negotiation technique will you use first? Anchoring or tactical empathy? Let me know by leaving a comment.